This is Profound Conversations, and we're here with uh, a knowledgeable one in the world of money, a knowledgeable one in the world of finances. Also, he's knowledgeable in guitar playing. But we're not going to talk about music today. We talk about Brother Hakim Dyer, managing partner of Dyer and Company, speaking about the idea of investment. We know that a population has had an opportunity to be a commodified in this thing called stock. We know that enslaved Africans, just like cows and horses and so forth, were stock. And so they also were invested in. There were breeding plantations where individuals were bred for the purpose of getting a yield for their stock. There was a low investment in their food and nutrition, low investment in their health care, but to get a higher yield from their labor. Now we're in a point where we think about it for ourselves, not being commodified, not being, as you said earlier, being enslaved. But how do we think about investing in something that has been horrific to us as a people? But how do we leverage this moment so that we can benefit from it to build generational wealth? Let's talk about investing.
Investing, great topic. Um, I mean, at a very, very high level, I think it's important for people to fall in love with ants. Ants are great. Um, because if you ever watch ants, right, the first thing that occurs is like, where's Waldo? It's like, there's so many of them, right? They're all off doing something. They're, lifting a little leaf or getting a piece of sugar or, fighting with each other. They're like all constantly moving around all the time, right? But they're always up to something. So I think in the world of investing, there's a couple basic principles, one of which is just humility, right? And that first slice of humility comes when you accept that you just don't know what some other ant is going to be up to, right? Somewhere, some ant is doing something remarkable, lifting a million times his weight, Another place, an ant fell off of something, right? But they're all up to something and you just don't know, all right? So why is that even relevant to investing? It's like when you come to the market and you start thinking about investing, you got to get humble and realize that you have no idea what the millions and millions of humans are up to on the face of the earth. There's somewhere out there, someone is doing something pretty cool that's going to be really useful to other people and will have value. And because it has value to others, it will increase in value. And someplace, somebody's screwing it up and their thing's going to fall apart. All right. So if I have a little bit of something I want to invest, right, I want to get really humble and start to think about, okay, how can I find the people who are up to something? And how can I participate in what it is they're up to? And if enough of the ants, sorry, humans, are all together with that thing that's going up, well, then if I'm a little piece of that, my thing's going to go up too. And net, we still got ants. So they're going to survive. They're going to go on net in terms of the whole market, right? The idea that I have the idea that's perfect and great, and I'm gonna, that's a little bit riskier, right? But if I'm stepping back and I'm saying, okay, there are ways for me to invest that allow me to go with a trend, go with an industry, go with a technology, go with something bigger than me that is demonstrating the right fundamentals, all right? Then at a very basic level, why would I just sit on the money in my savings account if I know somewhere out there there's some humans doing something cool that I could put some money into too, right? In an organized, regulated fashion, right? Then there's the flip side where I think it's almost the opposite of humility. It's like, nah, maybe you do have one of those great ideas that's going to do so. Maybe you have the skill, maybe you have the know-how, maybe you know enough other people where that little thing that you're working on could actually be the thing that is moving the market forward or creating value or raising the stakes for people. That's the world where you got to get a little bit, and I won't say arrogant, but you got to find your confidence, because then you're that entrepreneur. You're the one to be invested in. Okay. right? And your challenge, I'm teaching a group of students tomorrow, and this always comes up when I work for this organization. I work with students, and at some point, we're doing a cash flow projection on a very simple project basis, and I force them to project their cash flow, and they go, well, we don't know. It's like, that's the point. You don't know. You got to make your best guess. You got to find it, the chutzpah in yourself to put a number out there and tell the world that's what you're going to do. And that's not everybody. All right. But that's the life of an entrepreneur.
That's good. That's good. That's good. That's good. I don't mean to cut you off, but that is so good to believe in yourself enough to put a number out there.
Oh, right? Yeah, that's fundamental.
Right? Because you have to believe in yourself to say this has value and worth. We learn to minimize the things that we have, but if we recognize the value of it, I want to say this right here, that was something that, as in the flow about the ants.
Just want to separate the declaration about what you intend to create, right, from the hard work of actually doing it. Okay. As if you're an entrepreneur, you are fundamentally a leader. Okay. And all those other smart people who know stuff that you don't know will follow you if you lead. And part of leading is you've got to declare stuff into existence. Okay. And I think that's a small group of people who want to live crazy lives like that. But I'm distinguishing between where you get humble and invest your money and follow trends and understand the way markets move and what's going up and what's going down, and talk to registered investment advisors, and distinguishing that from the world where you get invested in. All right. And there is some space where they overlap, and that's kind of like the third space. All right. And that's a space where you find people who are on both sides, right? They might be lenders or vendors or other kinds of people, but they're invested and they're being invested in, right? Constantly. So all of that goes back to the accounting I was talking about earlier. It's like, assets, liabilities, equity, right? My investment portfolio is among my assets, all right? The loan I got to do my business is among my liabilities, right? And the partners I have in my business are among my equity holders, all right? So whether it's my money going out or money from others coming in, or the space where there's some mutual claims, this is all easily understood in a world where we can talk finance, okay? I want to go one small step further, and that is this makes sense when you resolve yourself to that you are one of the creators of the world in which we live. Okay. If you are going to simply consume, and this makes no sense and it's kind of useless, just go hire an advisor and manage your retirement and be done, and take a vacation and go elsewhere. Right. But if you are, an active thinking, voting, participating person, right? It's not the system. This is going to be controversial, but I'm going to say it. It's not the system that's evil. It's the people in it. Okay. I'm talking about assets, liabilities, and equity. Now, if I'm an evil person, I think, I know, I'll steal the land. I won't pay the debts, right? And I'll screw everyone else out of a share. Okay. Same rules, different intention. All right. If I flip it around and say, no, actually, I'm going to build assets, whether they are investments or technology or other kinds of intellectual property or buildings, or those are all assets. I'm going to do those things so that they help people. I'll manage the liability and I'll share it equitably among people who invest. Right? How is that evil? Oh, I will also defend it, by the way. I do cool things. Turns out people steal. All right. Because, they understand the game that we're in, and they might not want to work hard to create their own assets. They might just try to steal mine or wreck them. All right. So that's, mutual defense is why you have governments. Mutual defense is why you have communities. Mutual defense is why the relationships that govern capital are so important. Defense isn't always like, guns and stuff. That's not what I'm talking about. It's knowledge, right? It's intel. It's technology. It's getting the advanced, getting to market first. I mean, there's lots of ways you can defend your home, your family, your community, your people, right? But having a simple rule book, which I call finance, to track that stuff is really important. Is the money going out? Is the money coming in? Is it in the space? And who am I? Am I just consuming stuff? Or am I actually one of the people who has a stake in this world? Right now, I'm sorry if you're coming from a slave tradition, it takes a little while to get the sense that you are an owner, a participant, a
Mm.
contributor, a collaborator of the system, and to militate accordingly,
Mm.
right? To
You
ask for stuff.
that slave mentality, you are so correct. It's difficult to begin to think about having value and worth outside of just
Yeah, but you
getting
don't have to go too far to find people who have got a colonial mentality in the same result.
indeed. Indeed,
You
indeed. You mentioned something that I want to circle back to about the ants. It's so powerful because among the Igbo, they have this saying called Ibu Anyadanda, which says that for the ant, no task is really insurmountable. The idea that there's a capacity to be able to do so much, and it's about teamwork. It's
yeah,
about mutual cooperation. It's about interdependence.
yeah.
And what you mentioned was an example of how one can think about investing and have this mutuality, right? Not simply I'm exploiting you because I'm doing this thing. I am building us all up. The Zulu call it Ubuntu. So I just wanted to just
Absolutely. Look,
go for it.
that's, again, this won't be popular falling on many ears, notably younger ones I'm finding, but that's what capitalism is. Right? Capitalism is an agreement among people in a society that they're going to move goods and services through market forces as opposed to central planning or because, the Führer said so, right? So you need then for the markets to work, okay? And if you create it such that you have fair participation in that market, right? Well, then virtually everybody can play, all right? When you craft it so that people cannot participate in the market, it's the greater good that loses. Because why wouldn't you want that talent in the market? It's kind of dumb. So I think we have an opportunity to begin thinking newly about some very old concepts and to put not just a new technology spin on it, but a new cultural spin on it, such that no one's left out. You probably talk I could probably talk your ear off about wealth inequality.
Mm. Let's
I
talk
think
about this
about
just for with the time we have left about
oh sure.
the black elite making access to capital available to viable entrepreneurs. What are your thoughts about that? Right, I guess some
Well, a
wealthy
lot of
black
them
elites.
do,
Mhm.
and that's great, and they should do that because look, if you make a lot of money, and you have a lot of success, a very strange thing happens to you and your progeny, and that is you begin to question what was it all for. you know, how can I? Some of the saddest people I've met were super rich people, especially those who inherited it because they never had a chance to prove their worth to themselves. So I'm not saying that that's a reason for them to invest in other people's businesses, but for the right person, um, recreating success is addictive. So
Mm.
of course they would do that. I think the challenge comes whether it's black elite or the state or other funds. The challenge comes with who is able to speak the language, especially the language of finance. Like if you're in a technical field, you might be very good at speaking, in medical terms or in engineering terms or in science terms or in aerospace terms or whatever terms the field that you're in are all about. That's great. You need a couple of languages that cut across. You mentioned, the Igbo. I'm thinking of other parts of West Africa where you can't get through your day without four languages, right?
That's
You don't
right.
Hausa here, it's Fulani here. It's like, oh,
Mhm,
we're going to speak
mhm,
Arabic over here, and it's like,
mhm.
and it's just by where you go. Now you're going to use that other language.
That's
It's
right.
the same here. We're already people as Black people who code switch all the time, right?
Come on
This
now.
is just another level of code switching.
Brother Hakim, come
So
on now.
we
That's
need to have
that's
some like,
that's where we jump off right there. We have to continue this conversation.
okay,
Another form of code switch. Stop being afraid of this money thing and just simply code switch. Right? Speak the language.
yeah.
I spent time in the Gambia. I know, and people speak
Oh, do you
Jollof. They
know the
speak
Gambia? That's right.
Yoruba. They speak
Yep. Voila.
Mandinka. They're all in the same community. We
Yep.
can speak this same language, master it, and we, as been said before, we mastered. We can master basketball. At one point, the best basketball players in this country were with Jewish individuals, and now we see a change in that. We understand that we can master anything that we put our minds to because we have to recognize who we are on the planet. And you also said that when we believe in ourselves enough, right, to move from this fear position to having faith in knowing that we can be successful, that we are the business. It changes everything
Yeah,
because we are the business
that's it.
that makes everything happen, whether it is in music. You don't have the music operating without the musicians. And so who the greatest export this country has is rap music, and who makes the music. You don't have the people showing up for the entertainment of athletics, men of athletics, the main ones, basketball and football, without certain bodies being out there. Who who are the people making the business run? Believe in yourself enough to take ownership for your own economic freedom and liberation.
Yep.
Believe that you are the business. Brother Hakeem, close us out, because we got to come back to this, because you said, you hit it. That's the jump off for everything else, right? The code switching. Just stop the fear and code switch. But close us out with something. This is Proud Conversations. I'm Dr. Mwata Kariri Sankara here with brother Hakim Dyer. This is it. I'm done. You close us out.
I just would close out with thank you. I think this is a great way for people to reconsider the ownership stake they have in the nation. You get on a plane, you fly far away. The first thing people ask you, and they say it in different languages in different ways, is tell me something about your people and your village. So I just ask, well, what's your answer? My village has a Target. I mean, so,
right.
My village has 2 McDonald's. I mean, come on, stop. It's like, what are you? What are you building? What do you stand for? Who's your friend in the world? Who is your tribe connected to the other tribes? It's like, not just.
Are you just having the slave mentality?
Yeah,
moving beyond the slave mentality to being liberated, because not being shackled or being unshackled doesn't mean that one is free. Brother Kim, you mentioned that to be free means to understand your value and worth in the world.
Yeah,
this is Profound Conversations. Know your value, know your worth. That's where your power is. Thank you.
Thank you for joining our Profound Conversation. If you found this episode helpful, please subscribe to our podcast and then gift this information to a friend or family member using the share button. You can find our show on all social media platforms as well as on our website at profoundconvos.com. Profound Conversations executive producers are the Muslim Life Planning Institute, a national community building organization whose mission is to establish pathways to lifelong learning and healthy communities at the local, national, and global level. The Profound Conversations podcast is produced by Erica Christie. Programming is produced by the Aliyah Network. Thank you for your support.